You guys obviously talked a lot in the offseason about just this unit needing to be better, and Tom Allen spoke a lot about needing improvement from this group first. Just what have you seen so far? Where do you feel like you guys needed to make changes, improvements, and what kind of progress are you seeing?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that playing offensive line is obviously a position that they have to embrace the boredom of consistency, and it's repetitive, and it's doing things over and over and over, and embracing that, and I think from a year ago to now, I think we've made a lot of strides in that regard, and kids are working hard. It's been a great camp, and we're just trying to grind every day.
Coach, you have, I believe it's 4 linemen from the Fort Wayne area in the last 3 years, in the last 3 classes. What makes that area such a good production site for offensive linemen, and how have they developed over the last couple of years here?
Obviously, and we're all, it's, not necessarily just Fort Wayne. We're just trying to start with in-state. Coach Allen, obviously being a former high school coach in the state, and us being here at Indiana University, we're trying to start our footprint here in the state of Indiana, and then spread from there, and kind of draw a big circle, and the circle sometimes gets bigger and bigger. But it's just the way that the numbers have worked, and we got a couple guys from Indy as well, and the kids from Fort Wayne, Wigington and Randy, and DJ Moore, Luke Wigington, and Vinny Fiacable. So I think that's 5. I don't know, I carried the 1 there, but I think that's 5. But all those guys are doing good. Obviously, the older guys in the program are a little ahead of the newer guys in the program. DJ Moore right now is he's learning a lot. He's swimming a little bit. He's trying to figure it out. Whereas a guy like Vinny Fiacable, the light bulb is, it's at least burning now. Where he was in the same position as DJ a year ago. So offensive line is a developmental position, and it's a position that they have to come in and continue to grind and work and just stay ahead of the game. So those guys are doing good. Proud of them.
Coach, I know you've coached Matt Bedford for a few years now, but I guess just what is your favorite part about coaching him, and how have you seen him develop over the last few years? Well,
the biggest thing about Matt is, and if everybody remembers all the way back to his freshman year in 2019, the physical ability. He's got very good feet. He's got great hip explosion. The biggest thing for Matt has been the learning curve from playing high school football to college football. And, that to me, I would say has been the funnest part, is watching his growth from 2019. I can remember the Michigan State game up in East Lansing. I didn't sleep very well the night before that game because Matt Bedford was going to be starting his first football game there. And he really didn't really know a whole lot about football in general. Forget college football. He was very green, and and here we are. Fast forward now, he's going into his 4th year, and the growth from a mental aspect. He still brings the physicalness and he has good feet and he has great hip explosion, and he does a lot of good things from that perspective. But the biggest thing for Matt has been the growth of his knowledge of the game of football. So it's been fun to watch.
Hey, Coach. When Luke Hager came in a few years ago, he looked more like a tight end than an offensive lineman. I know you guys had to play him before you wanted to because of the COVID year and how unusual that was. How has he progressed? I mean, where's he at as a player? I mean, obviously, I know he looks like he's a left tackle guy, but how pleased are you with where he's at as far as his development?
Yeah, no, it's been great. To me, it's a really kind of a great story because he was a guy that, was not a longtime offensive lineman. He was a high school kid that was tall and skinny and was a defensive end, tight end type of player, and didn't really get recruited just because he didn't really have a position. He was kind of a big baby giraffe, I guess, the best way that I would say it. And he goes to junior college, and they didn't move him to offensive line until his 2nd year in junior college. And he got to about 240, I think he said, somewhere around there. You'll have to ask him, but they said, hey, we're going to move you and play you at left tackle. And Luke's just the guy that just was playing junior college football in California, and just, he was like, okay, I'll go play left tackle. Coaches want me to play left tackle. So he does that for a year. And, through the recruiting process, we find him, and our full intention in 2020 was to redshirt him. And when we signed him, I think he was 255. So we were going to redshirt him in 2020 and then play him in 21 and 22. Well, here we are in 22. We got very fortunate with the COVID year, and COVID was good to him. He left here when we got shut down. He went home, and when he came back, whatever, I guess that was late July or August. I can't remember exactly the dates, but when he came back, all of a sudden he was 275. So he gained 20 pounds on his own. Obviously found a way to do it, working out, doing whatever he was doing, and with the restrictions that everybody had in America. And so, and then again, not really knowing what we had, because I think we had 3 practices or 4 practices before we got shut down in the spring. Didn't really know what we were getting. And as we went along through that abbreviated fall camp of that year, we were like, heck, this dude's going to be on the bus. We don't know if we're going to play him or whatever. And he just kept getting better and growing as an offensive lineman. There was a lot of things, kind of like Matt, just coming from high school in 2019 to Hager, there's a lot of similarities. He didn't know a whole lot about playing offensive line. And again, it's not when defenses are just lined up in a regular front, whether it be a 4-man front or a 3-man front. It's the post-snap things, right? When the ball is snapped and the bullets are flying and people are moving and blitzing and doing different things, that's where the natural reactions of playing offensive line and knowing where you got to get your eyes and what you got to do with your feet. He didn't know a lot of that stuff, but he ended up playing in 2020, and it was great because that gave us a free year with him where he got his feet wet a little bit. And then, obviously last year was a full-time guy last year for us, and he's plugging along, and he's had a very good camp, and we're excited where he is. A lot of growth.
Coach Allen mentioned a couple of freshmen, Carter Smith and Bray Lynch last week. Just how have you seen their progression in fall camp, and what impresses you about those guys? Yeah. So, I always say with freshmen, it's a lot of it's what high school program they're coming from and how much they've learned and all that stuff. And, Carter obviously was an early enrollee, was a January enrollee. So he got all 15 spring practices. And Bray, he came from Austin Westlake, and heck, the dude started 30, I don't know what it was, 35 games in high school straight, whatever it was, at left tackle. And, Austin Westlake, I think, played in his 3 years that he played, I think they played they played a lot of games. So coming from that high school program, we felt like him coming in here, the knowledge base was going to be pretty good. Where, Carter came in and really didn't know a whole bunch about, the post-snap things. It's not the straight playbook information. And so, Carter had a leg up on those guys because of spring practice, having that advantage. And Bray Lynch has been definitely, he's ahead of the curve from a knowledge standpoint. It's interesting when we're in meetings and stuff and we're, going through our installs, a lot of the freshmen early on in their careers typically are asking very basic questions. And Bray was asking questions of, a little more advanced. So you could tell, early on in the summertime that, he had some natural football instincts of what, and he was asking some questions they're a little more advanced. And so, and that showed up, that's shown up in camp. So it's been, it's good. Both of those guys are doing well.
When last season ended, what was the evaluation process that the coaching staff took of how can you make this offensive line group better for next season?
Well, it always starts with physicalness. We all, we have to be physical, and from a physical standpoint, it's not just in the run game. It's from a run blocking perspective and a pass blocking perspective. And I always try to tell these guys, I got a couple of them sitting in here, but they know that pass protection, it's the word is passive, right? I mean, it's and it can't be, the mentality can't be that way. And I think last year, there was, again, I don't like talking too much about last year, but last year I just think we were a little bit soft in our protection and things like that. So the emphasis was, from a run game perspective, schematically, there's some schematic changes and things like that. But from a schematic changes, we try to simplify some things as far as what we're doing, trying to get them to run off the ball a little bit more in the run game. And then in pass protection, just really understanding that it's got to still there. The physical aspect still has to be involved. So that's been, all through the spring, all through the summer, that's been the focus. And, pass protection still got to be a physical piece because the quarterback's got to have the spot to throw from, wherever that may be.
Hey, Coach. I'm just wondering, as far as technique, what are you trying to stress during this fall camp?
Everything. But no, obviously it starts with our feet, right? And there's feet, there's hands, there's eyes, there's everything. But and these guys again flanking me on the sides here, they know like I break it down to three simple things in run blocking and three simple things in pass blocking. In run blocking, it's leverage, base, and balance. And in pass blocking, it's set, punch, and play basketball. And I know I'm going to hit on the play basketball piece a little bit, but we're not playing basketball. We're defending in basketball, and we get unlimited fouls. Okay, so that's the name of the game. And so everything that we do kind of falls back to those three traits, whether it be when we're working in the run game or working in the pass protection game. And we're not going out there and we're not throwing fade balls to the guys. We're not doing monkey rolls. We're not doing anything that is unnecessary. We're trying to get better at the fundamentals. So it's just, again, it's a wide range of things, but it's the little things. And again, like I said early on, it's playing offensive line is a position that they have to embrace the boredom, of monotony. They have to understand that they got to do it over and over, that step again. And still today, I mean, we'll go up here and watch the film, and I'm going to go on meetings with him this afternoon, and there's going to be guys that still aren't taking the correct step, and they know what the step is. But again, it's muscle memory. They got to be able to take the right step angles, because if you step out of position and the guy stays where he's supposed to stay and you take a decent step or maybe a little bit of a bad step, you're okay. But when he moves, if you can't redirect and change direction and be able to move on your feet, you have no chance. And so a lot of it is the post-snap things that happen. Thank you, guys.